Hi guys, thanks again for visiting us at RS Aquaculture. Do like and subscribe if you like our content. So in this episode, I'll be taking you through a CAD model of our crab farm, and we will be showing you how do you build the whole crab farm inclusive of the cementing work, the bricks, and even the structures with regards to the crab farm, as well as how to position your RS equipment. This will be a 4-part series in which we will be showing you all of the design aspects of the crab farm. So stay tuned. So one of the most popular questions we usually get when designing our crab farm is, how do you build the cementing work? How do you actually place the boxes? What does the piping looks like? And even how do you position some of this equipment? So this series is really about helping you and guiding you through this difficult process, and from learning some of our experience in how do you design the crab farm, or how do you accommodate enough space to position some of this equipment. So that will be the consisting of the first few episodes, the first 3 episodes at least. And towards the last episode, I'll be showing you how do you actually put this whole system within a 20 by 70 feet shop lot. So, and also including all of the areas you need for quarantine, storage, as well as also sales. Alright, so without further ado, let's look at the first and foremost most important part of the crab farm, which is to build your foundation, or the cementing work that is required for a good working farm. Alright guys, so thanks for waiting. So the model that you see over here consists of the model that doesn't have the boxes, doesn't have any bricks on it, and doesn't have any RS equipment. So this serves as the first initial starting point that we have before we build the crab farm. Right? So when you're building your crab farm, don't just rush into getting your equipment, assembling on boxes. It is also always important to get your foundation right. And when do we say foundation, means the cementing work that is associated with putting your crab farm here. Alright, so as you can see over here, we have actually chosen to dig actually holes, which we will call retention tank. This is tank number 1 and this is tank number 2 over here. As you can see, tank number 1 and tank number 2 are interconnected, so that water can overflow from tank number 1 to tank number 2. Alright, and you can also see there's actually a drain area which water are actually being flowed through the canal and goes to tank number 1, retention tank number 1 first. If you look closely at our design, right, so basically any crab farm will experience some sort of leak in the boxes. This is particularly true when the crabs will actually try to move forwards towards the outlet, and once you have the spraying water that hits the crab, some of the water will tend to get spilled out in front of the boxes. So it's really important you design your RS system to recapture some of that water. So how do we do it on this outside is actually to use this cementing platform over here. So you can see that, okay, so if I just take a slight cross-sectional area, you will be able to see this. So basically, once you will be stacking your boxes over here, and once you have water that is leaking out from the front, it actually goes over to the drains over here. Okay, so this drain is just a few cm depth, and in which water will sort of recycle towards the end here, and it will then reflow back over here, going into the retention pond number 2. Okay, so this is a really important concept to ensure that your water are not just being lost and being removed from the system. So any water that's being leaked out from the crab boxes actually gets collected and recycled back into the retention system. Okay, so more on this retention system and its RS system on a later slide. But take note that here on this side, you probably have to do a little bit of taper, a little bit of gradient, so any spilled water flowing out from the boxes will actually get flowed to the drain and rediverted back to retention tank number 2. So on top of that, you might be wondering, what are all these dikes for? So this is to make sure that your water gets trapped within the system. Imagine now you'll be doing this system up into a shop lot unit, for example. You do not want water to be escaping out of this zone, and these areas, what we call dikes, are used to design to ensure that water does not escape from the RAS system. and it gets perpetually recycled back into the retention tanks and being reused again. In your RAS system, you probably also need some area to house some of your equipments. So this is where we will be actually planning some of our equipments. We can be putting our pumps over here, our sand filters over here, retention ponds over here, and our biofilter will be in our retention tank number 2. So here is actually a good area for you to do up some washing. For example, you might want to be preparing the feed, or you need to be washing your, for example, your boxes. So this is a good area for you to perform some of this washing. Okay, so do remember to allocate some parts of your wet area for washing equipment. All right, so this is really the gist of the foundation that is being used at our crab farm. So one important thing that you have to take note is, at our site, we actually have chosen to dig holes in the ground. Okay, so I know that it might be not feasible for every one of you, especially those who are planning to do this on the 2nd or 3rd floor. So for us, we're actually doing it on the ground floor, and we are actually avoiding a lot of these foundations by digging a hole at this place. So this hole is actually about 1 meter deep, right? This is about 1 meter wide as well. So having able to dig holes, your system will rely a lot more on gravity instead of trying to pump the liquid up into tanks. So it's actually saving you a lot of energy in the long run. Of course, you can also opt to do it above ground, so in which you probably have to elevate your boxes even higher. All right, so this is an important point to take note. Okay, so this is generally how it looks like. All right, so now the next step is to decide on where do you lay the cement blocks in which your boxes will be rested onto. So the next part of the project is to really lay out the cementing or the bricks that is needed to put the crabs houses on. So on our site, we will be actually using what we call this light brick cement. Each of the dimension is about 60 times 20 times 10 cm each. Okay, so on our side, we'll be actually using a 2-layer option in which the bricks are stacked according to this kind of format. So you probably need a canal over here to lay the bottommost pipe for the bricks. Okay, so this is really important. All right, so some aspect of consideration that you need to plan before laying the bricks down is, number 1, the interdistance between the boxes. So I'm referring to this distance over to here. So if we take a measurement of this system, we can see that it's about 1 meter, 95 cm wide. All right, so note that your boxes will be rested here, so you still have to subtract out some of the distance of the box after placing. So it will not be 95 cm after placing the boxes, it will be probably lesser. Okay, second aspect that you have to take note of is the amount of available walking distance between the corner of the bricks over to the side of the wall, because you do not want to do it so narrow in which you do not have any walking space in between from the side of the brick wall towards the end of your crab farm. So for us, this distance is approximately about 1.46 meters. All right, so these dimensions are actually taken from the farm. We actually reverse engineered to get some of this dimension. So this is really crucial to ensure that you have enough walking space in between blocks and also have sufficient space to walk between this part. So your typical average process is you will probably head towards the washing area, first prepare your feed, defrost some of the feed that you'll be using for your mud crab, and you walk towards this area to start feeding the blocks, and you transverse between different blocks and start feeding between all of them. So in the next episode, I'll be touching on how do you put these crab boxes on this brick support, and where do you position some of these key RAS equipments. So for those who are interested to learn more or to study more about some of our cementing or some of the foundation work, we have actually compiled an ebook as well. This ebook will actually consist of all of the dimensions that are being used in the farm. So you can check out what are all the distances that I've just said, and what are the so-called dimension of the retention tank, how does it look like, and you can get all of these dimensions. So this document is really designed to help you plan out your crab farm. How do you position, or how do you plan and design your crab farm layout areas. I'll see you in the next episode.